A relic of New Zealand's rail past has emerged from the mud 93 years after being dumped in a Southland River. The Lumsden Heritage Trust has been campaigning to retrieve the two 1885 V-class steam locomotives from the Oreti River for about half a decade. They're thought to be one of the last of their kind in the world. But retrieving them was no easy task, as our reporter Tess Brunton found out.
It was full steam ahead this morning, with water pumps on and a crane poised above the first locomotive, which first hit New Zealand tracks back in 1885. Recovery teams tried hoisting it, but the locomotive was too heavy to lift. Walking around the muddy riverbank, surrounded by willow trees, Site Safety Supervisor Russell Bradley explained why.
This is the main locomotive, and it was lying in the water on an angle like that, going back downhill. You can see the line across the front of the cab there where the water line was. This was all in the water, and that was the only bit exposed. So we stood it up, got it out here, put logs on it and set it to here, and now we've got to put it on at the end again and clean another 5 tonne of mud off it so we can lift it out.
Workers blasted it with water and hacked at the thick weave of willow roots, covering the machine with a garden hoe. Russell Bradley says he was excited to be involved.
My great-grandfather and my grandfather are both train drivers. Trains in our family have a bit of a history. I got on board with it. There was no question of it. I just got straight on board with it. Couldn't help myself. Had to be involved.
Lumsden Heritage Trust Chair John Titter says they're lucky they could even attempt a recovery. In the wake of World War I, the value of scrap metal was low, so instead locomotives were dumped in rivers around the country to act as flood barriers.
Even the guys, when we were digging out the other day, were jumping up and down because the running boards were there. When we moved it the other day, the wheels turned, which is incredible, really. I mean, 135 years old, they've been in the river for 93 years.
John Titter says this is the last opportunity to retrieve the locomotives. The consents are about to roll over and the landowner wanted to see action. The Trust fundraised about a third of the $158,000 cost before securing the rest of the funding from other organisations. While they wanted to recover both machines, John Titter says it wasn't to be.
Over the last couple of days, it's actually gone from a massive task to a mammoth task. The suction on that thing there again, the suction being the silt holding it in. The tender itself weighs 22 tonne. He was pulling over 30 tonne on there trying to get it out. The locomotive is 32 tonne sitting on the track. You know, we believe there's probably another 10 tonne of silt in the boilers and things like that.
There was relief as the locomotive was hoisted into the air. John Titter says it was an unbelievable experience.
135-year-old locomotive, 93 years in the ground, and there it sits in a crane, eh? Unbelievable. Wow.
And emotions were running high as it was placed down onto the back of a transport truck.
Can't get any better than that, man, can you? It could have just gone pop, break. There was a story behind this that we didn't really let out, that when they lighten these things up for New Zealand Rail, they weaken the frames. And so it's been sitting in my mind that the thing is the frame could snap in half at any time. We'd lose the pony trucks or the cylinders. But there it sits so far, you know, getting on a transporter and into town, I think we're nearly there, you know.
Southland District Councillor Rob Scott says it was a remarkable effort.
We were made aware of it. Thought it was a bit of an old wives' tale that there was a train buried down here, and we came and had a look sort of early on, and it looked like a mammoth project, and it has been a mammoth project, but when you look at these operators that we've got together here, and it's a great network of really, really talented people, and yeah, they've pulled off something that was pretty impressive.
For Russell Bradley, it's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
Every time I drive past it, I knew it had something to do with it. My grandkids, future. My granddad helped do that.
Russell Bradley says it will be up to the next generation to recover the second locomotive from the soon-to-be-restored riverbank. A crowd gathered as the recovered locomotive was placed in front of the Lumsden Railway precinct, a tribute to a bygone era. In Lumsden for Checkpoint, Tess Brunton, Tēnei.